Hey everybody, Chester Peterson with Progressive Kenpo Systems and Modern American Warrior. I'm going to go through briefly why we're calling these, why we changed the name of block set and strike set to defensive strike set and offensive strike set. When we look at these defensive strikes or blocks, they're not blocks, they're strikes. What happens at the end of the action is whether it's a block or a strike. So when I do this upward, it's an upward to us. Inward, outward, extended outward, outward, inward, downward, reverse downward, and punch down. These motions are strikes. This is an upward strike, an inward strike, an outward strike, an extended outward strike. Now, defensive strike set can be used offensively, but offensive strike set cannot be used defensively. And what I mean by that is defensive strike set, what determines whether it's offensive or defensive is range. So if he throws an overhead strike and I come in and there's my upward, that's range. If he's closer to me and I come in and I hit this way with this uppercut and I roll it into the upward, that becomes offensive. Okay? So defensive is a club attack. Offensive, I'm close enough to hit the head and roll into that upward. The inward, he throws a right punch, boom, there's my inward. Defensive. He's standing here running his mouth. Here's my right hammer fist. There's my inward. Okay, again, range. The outward has two pieces to this outward. And what I mean by this is if he throws a right punch and I come in with this inward, I can go to the outward and hit with that knuckle as if I'm hitting with the butt of this knife. This is absolutely a knife system. I can hit with this outward as if I'm hitting with this button, with the butt of this knife. But also there's another aspect to this outward. Let's change positions a little bit. If he throws this right punch and I step through and I hit through the ribs and his body is on mine, what I can do is this outward and lift his body up off of me. So what happens is this outward comes straight up. Use your large muscle groups to make this happen. When we go to the extended outward, we turn the body, hit into the kidneys. Okay, so we can go to this outward from a sideways kind of movement and hit with that knuckle, but if there's resistance on the body, the shoulder muscle is not strong enough to do this to get that person off of you. But you can absolutely curl. And if the person's got too much mass for you to move, you simply adjust your position, roll into that extended outward and hit. Okay, the extended outward. He throws a hooking punch. There's my extended outward. Boom. He throws a right punch. I hit. I go into the extended outward to the head. So defensive takes on this hooking punch. Offensive simply strikes. Okay? We go back to the inward. The reason that we do an inward before the downward is we make sure that we clear the whole body with this motion. We don't want people doing a downward where they're just chopping straight down. So we want to clear the whole body with this area of the arm with a path of action. So as a defensive move, he throws this kick and I do a downward, defensive. Offensive move, he throws a right punch and I come through and I hit into the pelvic girdle or the kidneys. Or if he throws a right punch and I come to the center and I hit and I do this downward with a reverse bow, that's the downward on an offensive platform. On the offensive platform is hitting into that groin using that downward. The reverse downward, again, comes into a kick. He throws a right kick, I come in, there's my reverse downward, there's my strike on a defensive platform. On the offensive, he throws the right punch, I step in, do this thundering hammers move into the soft triangle or the groin, or sleeper, or any of those movements where this hand comes on this line with that reverse downward. Let's do it on the other side. Throws the right punch, I step in, there's my shot into the lower intestines or the groin. We call it the soft triangle. Anywhere in that area is going to do damage. Reverse downward. The punch down defensively, if he throws a roundhouse kick, I punch into the pocket of that hip. Okay, there's that punch down. He throws that kick, boom, I hit into the pocket, come up to the head, elbow sandwich, break the neck. That's defensive. Offensive is this. Let's move your way a little bit. If he pushes me, and I come through and I move him and I fold him over, this becomes a punch down, even though I'm using the heel palm. So anytime somebody is bent over, whether you punch or you heel palm down, that becomes offensive. So that's defensive strike set used offensively or defensively. Again, like I was saying earlier, offensive strikes are not going to be used defensively. These offensive strikes are going to be hitting and teardropping. I'm not going to use that to try to block somebody's strike because of the body alignment. Offensive strikes are simply strikes, where defensive strikes can be used as strikes or blocks. It's what happens at the end of the motion that determines whether it's a block or a strike, but it's still a strike as you apply it. Hope this was helpful. Come back and see us.